Tomorrow gets it to White. White releases another three, and Milford absolutely scorching hot.
Tamani feeling it now. That's his third three-pointer now.
This has been a strong commitment to defense for the Hawks through this first half. And Kelly able to tip it in at the buzzer. The steal, Pasquette gets it back, tries to bank it off the glass and gets it in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the gymnasium at Milford High School as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call as we get set for a giant showdown here in the Milford gym tonight as the Milford Scarlet Hawks boys basketball team welcomes in one of their biggest rivals from the Davenport Division in the Foxboro Warriors. Milford enters into the matchup tonight in third place in the Davenport Division, standing 6-9 overall on the season. They are 5-7 within Hockomock League play, and they face off against a Foxboro team that is just one spot better than them in those Davenport standings. Foxboro comes in, they are over 500 overall on the season at 9-6, but they are at the 500 mark in league play, 6-6, so just one game better than Milford in those Davenport Division standings, which means a win tonight here for Milford will pull them within a tie for that second place spot with the Foxboro Warriors, which of course is very important as we talked about during our last broadcast. Milford, should they fail to return to the 500 mark by season's end, as long as they can hold on to at least a share of second place, they will make it into the MIAA playoffs. So this is a game with major playoff implications here tonight as Milford gets set to take on Foxboro. Milford coming into this game off of a win. They were able to take care of business on the road last Friday against the struggling Sharon Eagles. Milford earning a 56-45 win in that game. They started off slow, but they were able to turn it on and gain separation against the Eagles in that victory. Foxboro, meanwhile, comes into this game coming off of one of their best stretches of the season. They are in the midst of a 3-game winning streak, and that has been victories over North Attleboro, King Philip, and most recently a victory last Friday night at home against the Canton Bulldogs, 54-46, a comfortable win against the first place team in the Davenport. So Foxboro comes in with a lot of momentum, and of course Foxboro also owners of a victory head-to-head against Milford from earlier this season back on January 4th. They were able to take care of business at home, defeating Milford 49-41. So Milford looks to even the season series and gain a huge victory that would certainly go a long way towards their playoff hopes as they come down the final stretch of this regular season. A big matchup about to get underway, and we will have all the action for you next. It is Milford versus Foxboro. We'll get the opening tip right after this on Milford TV. Back inside the Milford gym, it is time to get this game started. First, let's get to the starting fives for both schools. First, for the visiting Foxboro Warriors, it is Anthony Malika, Ryan Hughes, Kevin Gallagher, Michael Devlin, and Will Morrison. And for the Scarlet Hawks, it is their usual suspects, Brendan White, Colby Perez, Brendan Saylor, Jordan Darling, and Dom Schofield. And already a very interesting note heading into this matchup as Foxboro's scoring leader, Brandon Board, one of their two captains, is not in the starting lineup and by all accounts not with the team here tonight. So that is certainly something to keep an eye on as this matchup goes underway. Brandon Board, who has been one of the top scorers in the league, not with the team here tonight, not in the starting lineup, and again, does not appear that he is with the team at all. So Foxboro playing shorthanded without their leading scorer. We'll see if that will play into Milford's favor as this game goes on, but Foxboro does control the basketball off the opening tip, and immediately a foul as Milford left a wide open lane to the basket. And right to the free throw line goes Michael Devlin. The foul called on Brendan White, so just 11 seconds into the game, White picks up his first foul. So talking about Foxboro being without their scoring leader, the last thing Milford wants is to see limited action out of Brendan White, already picking up a foul. Devlin is able to make both free throws to give Foxboro the first points of the night. And now Brendan Saylor will take the ball up the floor. Good to see Brendan back out there after turning spectator through most of that last game we saw here in the home gym against Attleboro. Some unusual circumstances leading to that spot on the bench for Brendan Saylor. We did not have an opportunity, of course, to get word in real time of the decision for why Saylor was not available through the remainder of that game. We, at the time, speculated that it may have been that he was ejected. He was not ejected from the game. He was not even awarded a foul by the officials, but Coach Seaver, going the safe route after the serious collision with Brian Sissio, opted to sit Brendan Saylor for the remainder of that game. So that was a coach's decision, not a disciplinary measure from the officials. But back out there with his team for this big game tonight, trying to even the season series against Foxboro. And wide open look from long range, and just short on the attempt was Kevin Gallagher, who is the #2 scoring option on this team behind Brandon Board. So Milford will certainly look to commit heavily defensively to shutting down Gallagher now that they don't have Board to worry about. Here's Brendan Saylor now off some quick passing from White. He misses the shot. Milford not making shots here early on, just a minute and a half into this first quarter action. Now Foxboro leaving it out on the perimeter, now dribbling inside. And that will go as an offensive foul. Brendan Saylor drawing the charge, and then got the ricochet off the rim of the basketball right into the midsection. Milford can't weave that pass into Brendan White. It's Perez now, he can't find entry. They leave it outside for Schofield, who has been trying to find his groove a little bit more from long range. Trying to show a little more diversity in his game. It's been very much hit or miss from that distance for Dom Schofield, still a young player. And now the long pass from Milford, tipped and turned over. Now here's Malika under the basket. He draws contact. Of course, that's a familiar name for both boys and girls basketball when it comes to the Foxboro Warriors. Anthony Malika here for the boys. Of course, Caitlin Malika, who has emerged as arguably the best player in all of the girls' side of things in the Hockomock League. It's a dynamic brother-sister duo. Timeout called on the court here very early. Stops the clock with 5 minutes and 43 seconds to go in this first quarter. Just 2 points on the board so far. So already an interesting start. Again, no sign of #1 Brandon Board on the bench. Was not part of the starting lineup. We did not have a chance to verify with the head coach of Foxboro, John Gibbs, of the whereabouts of Brandon Board, but it seems as though he will not be available for this game tonight. Brandon Board, coming into this week's action in the Hockomock League, was among the top 10 in scoring. He came in right at #10, averaging 13.8 points a game. Kevin Gallagher coming in at #12 in the league in scoring, averaging 12.6 points per game. Brendan White dropping from the #2 spot to the #3 spot, still averaging over 16 points a game. He is third in the league behind Devin Foster of Canton and Chris Edgehill of Franklin. Out of the timeout, Malika shooting free throws. Malika is the other captain on this team along with Brandon Board. So by virtue of a couple of trips to the free throw line, Foxboro now with a 4-0 lead. Milford trying to get their offense jump started. Darling trying to loop that pass into Brendan White. It looks like they're going to call the foul on Gallagher. White, a little off-balance floater. He gets that to fall, so immediately able to cut that deficit in half. Still over 5 minutes to play in the first quarter, trying to settle into a rhythm. There's Malika under the basket, able to bounce off of Saylor and get 2. Malika looking to pick up the slack for this Foxboro offense. Saylor. He gets the fadeaway shot. 2-point Foxboro advantage. Now underneath the basket, that shot blocked by Perez. Not a lot of height out on the floor right now for the Warriors. But they've still been able to attack the basket, and they will head to the free throw line yet again after Gallagher gets the shot. He has a chance to make it 3. And that's the second foul on Brendan White. That's going to force White to the bench here in the first quarter, and the last thing that Milford wanted. And meanwhile, they're going to pull Brendan Saylor to the bench as well, so Milford going heavy to their bench unit already here in the first quarter as that shot is off the mark. So Matt Vardaresian into the game. Danny Corsini also out there on the floor along with Darling, Schofield, and Perez. Darling able to get the offensive rebound. He puts it back. And now a chance for the Milford three-point play. So for Saylor, just a quick trip to the bench. He comes back out onto the floor, replaces Perez. Darling short rims the free throw, so it keeps Foxboro in a 2-point advantage. Malika again crashes the net, cannot get the shot, and then a scrum for the loose ball. And already you can see the frustration from Coach Seaver, screaming to his team about a lack of commitment on the defensive side of the floor. Milford not protecting the paint very well, and Foxboro has exploited it big time. Now again, numbers up the floor. Darling goes flying, and meanwhile, back outside for Kevin Gallagher, who now has 5 points in this first quarter after knocking down that 3, and it gives Foxboro an 11-6 lead. Here's Saylor now cutting to the basket. Will not have the greatest angle. And now too much speed up the floor for Foxboro. They lose control. Now Corsini makes a move and finishes at the rim. Nice play for Corsini. That's a little bit more like it for Milford. Back down to a 1-possession game with 3:20 to go in the first quarter. Now a little more engaged outside for Jordan Darling. He is able to strip the ball. And it looks like Coach Seaver was able to get the timeout in, saving the possession for the Scarlet Hawks. It stops the clock with 3 minutes and 11 seconds to go. We will take the timeout. 11-8, Foxboro leads it over Milford here on coverage of Milford High School Athletics on Milford TV. Milford with possession out of the timeout. Looking to bring this game back to even. This game without its scoring stars that we expected to see. Brendan White forced to the bench right now with foul trouble, and Brandon Board not suiting up for Foxboro tonight. So we'll see which players can step up as this game goes along. Foxboro trying to back in off of Schofield. Schofield right now with a decided size advantage over anyone else on the floor. And so as a result, Foxboro goes back outside, and Gallagher continues his red-hot start to the night. He is now up to 8 points, leading the way on this Foxboro attack. Expected a lot more was going to fall on his shoulders, and so far he has stepped up. Schofield now, he can't finish. Kind of back in off of Ryan Hughes. Foxboro again thinking about 3. They leave it behind again for Gallagher from downtown, and this time he cannot make it. The student section, which is a little bit lighter than what we've been accustomed to seeing at these home games, still nice enough to let Gallagher know about that miss. Foxboro foul going against Will Morrison, his first foul. Matt Vardaresian able to knock down the first free throw. Colby Perez Returning to the floor, Brendan Saylor to the bench. It's a strange start to this game for Milford with their two leading scorers. Not seeing a lot of time on the floor. Here's Corsini off the miss. Perez with the tip. And Milford able to get a second chance. Darling out on the perimeter. Schofield to the corner. Vardaresian going hard to the basket. Not able to finish. 14-9 in favor of Foxboro, coming down to the last minute of the first quarter. And a lot of fouls piling up in this game already. 4 for Milford, 3 for Foxboro. That foul going against Jordan Darling. So the officials calling this game very close. Here's Malika now from 3, no good. And the rebound up for grabs eventually into the hands of Milford. That was Corsini who was able to get to it. Now Perez, over a couple of defenders, is able to get the shot. First points of the night for Colby Perez. 48 seconds to go. It's back down to a one-possession game. Now, good late move to the basket. Points for Dylan Barrera. Vardaresian trying to feed Darling down low. The pass was knocked out of play by Barrera. Vardaresian will inbound, 19 seconds on the shot clock, 29 to go in the quarter. And that ball knocked away out of the hands of Danny Corsini. And Vardaresian will jog over to inbound with now 14 seconds left on the shot clock. Instead it will be Darling who sends it back into play. Eventually gets it in cleanly to Corsini. Now Vardaresian will set things up with 8 seconds to go on the shot clock. Into the hands of Darling, out to Perez. Gonna have to take the shot, he hoists it up. And that's a shot clock violation. Milford just unable to get a clean look. Good defense from the Warriors. And they'll have 9.2 seconds to bring it up the floor for one more shot. They'll let it take a couple of bounces before Malika picks it up. Gets a screen, now drives inside, tries to bounce off Dom Schofield, and ends up picking up the foul. They do call the foul on Schofield. He picks up his first of the game, the 5th foul for Milford, who will now send Brendan White and Brendan Saylor back out onto the floor in case one of them can perhaps drop in a long-range shot here in these final 3.8 seconds. A miss into the hands of Perez. Now he will toss up the shot from mid-court, and it hits rim, but is no good, and that will conclude the first quarter. An uneven quarter, to say the least, for the Scarlet Hawks. A lot of fouls, a lot of missed shots, and a 6-point lead now for the Foxboro Warriors as we will head into the second quarter right after this here on Milford TV. Second quarter action now here in Milford, a 17-11 lead for Foxboro. Milford with White and Saylor back out onto the floor after the two did not see a whole lot of time together in the first quarter. The first bucket of this period goes to Will Morrison, who plowed his way inside. Ups it to an 8-point Foxboro advantage. Corsini able to answer. 4 points in this first half so far for Corsini. And now White able to make the steal, but could not stay in bounds. Nearly ended up in our broadcast table. Foxboro able to get the clean inbounds, 19-13 now. And Malika with more damage done, and Coach Seaver again frustrated with the lack of interior defense. And And it looks like he's going to send a message to the starters as he has 4 players waiting at the scorer's table to check in at the next opportunity. And now again, late move to the basket for Foxboro and a hard foul. And we'll see wholesale changes now as Vardaresian, Blanchard, Max Martin, and Dom Schofield come out onto the floor. Brendan White right back to the bench, along with Saylor and Perez. And you can hear Coach Seaver just howling from the sidelines, wanting to see some hustle. A couple of opportunities now here under the basket. A scrum on the floor, and there's a little more hustle out of the Hawks as Max Martin gets locked up for the jump ball, and that will win possession for the Scarlet Hawks. How many times have we talked about it this season? Milford looking for that consistent effort, that 4-quarter effort. Something that they need to demonstrate if they're going to earn their way into the playoffs. Here's Martin now on the offensive end. Misses on the 3. But Milford not getting that consistent effort as now Martin gets taken down on the defensive side. No whistle. And then the big shot knocked down by Kevin Gallagher. Max Martin absolutely mugged on that play, and after the officials had no hesitation blowing the whistles in the first quarter, they let the play go. And the end result now is Foxboro has quickly accelerated this lead all the way up to 11 points. Nearly picked off. Blanchard able to keep his hands on it. Now the shot clock winding down. Vardaresian will put up the shot. Misses everything. And this offensive effort tonight for Milford, a real struggle. But good active hands by Vardaresian. He gets the steal. Tough pass for Jordan Darling. He has to pull back. Now goes up and over Gallagher and is able to get the bucket. Foxboro lead is 9. Milford needing some more stops. The difference in the game these two teams played earlier this season, as Gallagher is a little short on the shot attempt. The big difference between a win and a loss for these two teams the last time they played was that big swing of momentum that has been Milford's Achilles heel all season long. Foxboro scoring 19 points in the second quarter against Milford. In that matchup on January 4th, they were able to build up a big double-digit lead, and Milford was able to cut into it in the second half, but they could not come all the way back. Ended up losing the game by 8. Back up to an 11-point differential, and it looks like we'll see Brendan White make another appearance on the floor at the next whistle. Darling taking the contact. Michael Devlin also waiting to check back into the game on the Foxboro side. Darling 0 for 2 from the line so far. Milford 1 out of their first 4 from the line. Cuts it to a 10-point Foxboro lead as Milford now will put some pressure on in the backcourt. Now the long cross-court pass back outside for Malika. He thought about the shot. Now gets around Vardaresian. Will release from 2, no good. White can't secure the rebound. And now Darling briefly with his hands on it, but the ball takes a bounce out of play as Darling went hard to the floor. Foxboro just flat out outworking Milford in this first half. More energy, more quickness. We've seen it both on the offensive and the defensive glass. Foxboro creating extra opportunities for themselves. Now here's Gallagher. That one looked good. Ended up rimming out. Knocked away, out of play by Michael Devlin, and they'll say that got a piece of Milford as it went out of play. Coach Seaver trying very hard to keep his composure on the sidelines, but this has been a frustrating one for him to watch so far. The lead still 10 for Foxboro as that shot misses. Now Milford pushing the floor in transition. Blanchard loses control right at the end and puts it right back in the hands of Gallagher, who now sends it to Malika, who gets the shot from the free throw line. 9 points in this half for Anthony Malika. The lead is now 12. Here's Brendan White. Passes up the shot. Bad pass. Easy turnover for the Warriors. And White able to get back for the rebound. And Milford lucky to keep control of the basketball. Not a lot has been easy for Milford in this half. Here's White. Second time's a charm. It's just the second made basket for White in this half. Back to a 10-point game with 2.5 to play in the first half. All kinds of time for Gallagher. Milford continuing to give Gallagher way too much space on the floor. 14 points in the half now for Kevin Gallagher. And the air sucked out of this Milford gym right now. Here's Morrison under the basket. A couple of rebounds, and finally the basket for Liam Devlin. Hawks getting outworked on the glass yet again. And right now, Coach Seaver just trying to find that right combination that's going to infuse some life into this team. He sends Brendan Saylor back out onto the floor now. Tyler Weatherby getting his first minutes of the game. Milford able to get the steal. Here's Weatherby up the floor, gives it back to White. Now up top for Corsini from three. Milford with still a lot of work to do, but another steal. Now Saylor can't finish it. White puts it back. Now Saylor again. Finally, some good offensive rebounding. 33-23, down to the final 60 seconds of the half. Here's Gallagher. He feeds it under the basket. Foxboro able to break up the mini Milford run. Now Weatherby cutting inside, leaves it back out for Corsini. Saylor trying to free himself of Malika. 38 seconds to go. White now with one man to beat, can't finish. And now Malika. Long pass pulled down on the other side of the floor by Gallagher. Now it's Morrison. Drives baseline. 4 points in this quarter for Will Morrison, and now Milford will play for the last shot. 10 seconds to go. Saylor gets a good opportunity, short rims it, and now 5 seconds left for Foxboro. And it's a miss for Anthony Malika, and that will send us into halftime. with a 37-23 score. Foxboro in front, so Milford hoping to avoid that lopsided period in this pivotal matchup, and they were not able to do it. Foxboro outplaying Milford by a good margin in that second quarter, and they're able to build up a double-digit lead, so Milford will have to overcome a serious deficit in the second half of this game. We'll see if they can do it. Again, 37-23, Foxboro over Milford. We'll break for the half and have third quarter action next here on Milford TV. Welcome back inside the Milford gym. It is time for the second half to get started between Milford and Foxboro. As you can see on the scoreboard, another second half deficit for Milford to overcome. They ended up getting outscored in that second quarter, 20-12. Jordan Darling hoping to set a better tone here for the second half, taking that one all the way to the rim. 12-point deficit for the Scarlet Hawks, trying to do a better job, in particular on the glass, where they just got absolutely manhandled by Foxboro in the first half. Both offensive and defensive rebounding went heavily in the Warriors' favor through those first two quarters. Also needing to keep that man in check as well, Kevin Gallagher, who is leading all scorers right now with 14 points. Now Corsini, the up fake, leaves it out for Schofield, and Schofield with a huge three, his first points of the game. Talked about it in the first half, Schofield trying to become more of a legitimate outside threat. Now trying to draw the charge defensively, no whistle. And now Malika releases the shot, gets a nice bounce. And Malika now into double figures with 11 points. Foxboro lead 11. Schofield thought about releasing another one. Now Corsini will let it go off the side of the rim, and bodies flying in for the rebound. And so better effort already here in these early seconds for Milford. You have to imagine that the conversation with Coach Seaver was not a pleasant one for these players. Coach Seaver has been ready to boil over on the sidelines almost since this game began, wanting to see a better effort out of his team. So good effort there, trying to go in for that rebound, and it results in another possession for Milford, another shot attempt for Schofield. That one was close. White able to get the rebound, and he puts it in. White up to 6 points now in the game, and the deficit is down to 9 points, and all of a sudden the Milford gym starting to find some life again. There's Morrison now, he gets closed off, gets it right back, trying to get around Jordan Darling, who commits the foul. It's the second foul on Darling. And the Jungle now trying to do their part. Morrison undeterred, he knocks down the shot. He had 4 points in the first half. Morrison, a cool 2 for 2. Foxboro's done well at the line, 7 out of 8. Now here's White. Four points already in this third quarter for White. He matches his total for the entire first half. Looking for the call. And right now, the two officials, they're going to get together. Neither one wanted to make the call, and they'll keep it with Milford, or I should say, turn it over to Milford. Able to pull the hands in as that pass went out of play. Wanting to continue to chip away at this deficit. Milford continues to play with Brendan Saylor on the bench. Now White with two defenders in close proximity. Can't land the shot, but Schofield tracks down the rebound. Now Darling. He can't find any space. Vardaresian up top. And just short. And again, Darling goes in hard for the rebound. Along with Michael Devlin. And the entire bench now standing. So a completely different energy about this team so far in this quarter. They've kept play consistently on this end of the floor. Now here's Corsini. He can't land the shot. Darling with another rebound, gets the shot and the foul. And Jordan Darling is starting to flex some muscle in this third quarter. That forces a Foxboro timeout. The score right now, 41-34. Milford starting to close that gap. We'll see a free throw from Darling on the other side of this quick break here on Milford TV. A long conversation between head coach John Gibbs and his team as Milford has come out of the gates roaring here in the third quarter, an 11-4 run to start this third quarter. They've cut the deficit down to 7. Darling can't make the free throw. Darling 1 for 4 from the line. The Milford bench trying to keep the energy up. Nice move inside for Michael Devlin. Now here's Darling again. He loses control of the basketball as he goes up for the shot. No foul. 20 seconds on the shot clock, 4:34 on the game clock in this third quarter. White gets closed off, sends it back out for Schofield. Now hands it right back. And Schofield had plenty of space, just one man to beat. 5 points in this third quarter for Dom Schofield. And the bench back on their feet. Pressure in the backcourt. Foxboro able to advance. Now Gallagher sees a lane to the basket and he takes it. It's Gallagher's first points of the second half after putting in 14 in the first quarter, in the first 2 quarters. Here's Corsini, gets nice bank off the glass. Deficit holding at 7 points. Milford looking for some stops. Tons of space on the near side of the floor. Milford lucky right there. They gave Foxboro way too much room. There's Corsini again, attacking inside. Darling trying to wrestle the ball away. He does, keeps the dribble, and gets it back out to Vardaresian. More good work for Jordan Darling. He has been leading the charge in this third quarter. Milford with players colliding, going out of bounds after that ball. It's White and Schofield went head first out of bounds, trying to corral that loose ball. And Dom Schofield, fortunate that Josh Lagore was there out of bounds to break his fall. And now Corsini gets his hands on the ball, gets tripped from behind, goes down hard. This game getting very physical here in the third quarter. White takes his time. Now gets raked across the face as he goes up for the rebound. Looks like they'll call the foul on Liam Devlin. 5 fouls for Foxboro in this third quarter, only 1 for Milford. And Vardaresian in all kinds of trouble on that inbounds pass. Ends up getting picked off by Foxboro. Now the 3 attempt is no good. Foxboro with not quite the same level of success shooting the basketball that they had in the first half. It is still a 7-point Foxboro lead. Milford's been able to cut the deficit in half in this third quarter, and now getting a little closer as Jordan Darling just keeps on going. 6 points in this third quarter. Now Gallagher, he misses on the shot. It's a 5-point deficit. Milford with the basketball, a chance to cut this even closer. Coming down to 2 minutes to play in the third. Another long ball from Schofield, no good. And the rebound is pulled down by Dylan Barrera. Barrera will take it up the floor himself. Now Morrison, and the big man for Foxboro, knocks down a big shot. That quiets the Milford crowd as the deficit climbs back up to 8. Darling loses his dribble. Ball goes out of play, knocked out by the Warriors. Morrison will get a rest on the bench after making that big three, replaced by Ryan Hughes. Pass just barely makes it in to White, who's trying to back his way in. Now leaves it back out for Jordan Darling. Wide open look, but a little too strong. And Milford draws that foul under the basket. It's really what they've done best all season long. Less than 90 seconds to play in the third. It's been an entertaining quarter, a lot more of what these Milford fans hope to see. Tough pass that makes it into the hands of White. Vardaresian, outstanding vision to hit that pass. And White doing the rest. White up to 6 points in the third quarter. Down to the last minute of the third. There's Malika, and Malika trying to find Hughes with the bounce pass, but Milford intercepts, and now White gets hacked again as he goes up for the shot, or does he? And they call the foul against Milford. They're going to call the foul on White, and that's a big call. That's his third foul. And some questionable calls that have gone against Milford in this game. Foxboro with the ball, up by 6. Malika, good look. And now the ball up for grabs. White trying to move it up the floor. Never really controlled it, was trying to buy the backcourt violation. The shot clock turned off now as Foxboro will try to play for the final shot. Gallagher doesn't see anything he likes. Back up to Malika, 5 seconds to go. Now back up top, Malika with 2 defenders in his face is able to knock down the 3 as time expires. Good defense from Milford, but even better offense from Malika. 2 defenders right in front of him, and he's able to get the shot to push it up to a 51-42 score. So Milford with a lot of positives in that third quarter, but a key shot knocked down there by Malika to push the lead back up to 9. So still a ways to go for Milford, needing to keep the energy up for the fourth quarter. We will see the final 8 minutes unfold when we come back after this on this coverage of Milford High School boys basketball on Milford TV. Milford got 6 points out of Brendan White, 6 out of Jordan Darling, and 5 out of Dom Schofield in that third quarter. They were able to outscore the Warriors 19-14. And as a result, they were able to trim a 14-point lead down to 9. It was down to 6 just before the buzzer when Anthony Malika was able to grab some momentum back for the visitors. Darling able to get a quick basket to pace this fourth quarter, and Foxboro answers right back immediately. Vardaresian, his three is no good. Schofield able to get the rebound, but then the whistle going against. Looks like they'll call the foul on Liam Devlin. He picks up his third foul. And Foxboro now in the penalty. Eight fouls in the second half for Foxboro, only 2 for Milford. Been a much different half from an officiating standpoint for Milford. Brendan Saylor, who sat for the entirety of the third quarter, is now sitting at the scorer's table looking to check back in, as meanwhile Foxboro tries to draw up an alley-oop play on the fly with Devlin. But they can't execute the pass. The ball ends up getting tangled up in the supports for the basket, and now Saylor back out on the floor. Matt Vardaresian to the bench. Vardaresian did a good job running the point through that third quarter. He has certainly continued to improve as this season has gone on, the more minutes he has seen on the floor. Schofield, a tough miss. That score differential unchanged now with 6:41 to go in the game. Foxboro losing control of the ball under the basket, but that got a piece of Brendan White as it went out of play. Still 16 seconds on the shot clock for the Warriors. And now Gallagher has that one spin around the rim, but it does not fall. Saylor surveying the options. Into Darling. Darling cutting his way in, and they will count it. And Jordan Darling now 9 points in the second half alone. He has 14 points for the game. But this is where Milford is going to make or break in this fourth quarter, is how they can handle themselves at the free throw line. They're going to get their share of looks with Foxboro in the penalty, but once again, Darling can't finish off the three-point play. And on the other side of the floor, 3 points, no problem for Gallagher. Milford just 2 for 7 shooting free throws in this game. It has been a season-long problem for the Scarlet Hawks. The lead for Foxboro is 10. Devlin could not get the angle. The shot goes off the side of the backboard. Now back outside for Saylor, and Brendan Saylor. This has been an unusual game for him with so much time on the bench, but knocks down a key three-pointer. He is now up to 7 points. That ball ends up in the Foxboro bench. It stays with the Warriors. Now the long pass finding Hughes. Now it's Gallagher under the basket. What a game it has been for Gallagher. All of this without Foxboro's top scorer, Brandon Board, on the floor. And right now, body's getting tangled up. Saylor went down. This is going to send Milford right back to the free throw line. Brendan White will shoot the free throws. A foul on Kevin Gallagher. He now has 2. Chance to cut it down to 7. Good shooting for Brendan White. Now Milford puts the pressure on. They trap Malika in the corner. And Foxboro able to get the timeout in. 58-51 the score. Milford has once again cut it down to a 7-point game. They've cut it down to as close as 5 in the second half. Still time left for a Hawks comeback. We'll take the timeout with 4:56 to go in the game. You are watching coverage of Milford High School athletics here on Milford TV. Milford guarding that inbounds pass. Now it's Darling and Schofield suffocating in the backcourt. Morrison slings it across to Malika, who now finally brings it ahead. Corsini tipping the pass. Now it's Saylor and Corsini pestering Gallagher, who's somehow able to escape with possession. The shot clock already down to 7. Milford forces the miss. Excellent pressure defensively. Now Saylor trying to free himself. Schofield finds Corsini. He lets it go well offline. White able to save it from going out of play. Darling able to pull down the pass. And Corsini again short. Here's White inside with the rebound and the putback. White relentless on that trip up the floor, and it yields points. And back down to a 5-point deficit again as timeout is called. And once again, as we take a look at the Davenport Division standings, things very close. Canton continues to lead the Davenport, but they have had some key losses to teams like Milford and Foxboro over the last couple of weeks. They are still leading the way with a 9-6 record. Foxboro tied with that overall record. The difference right now is play within the Hockomock League, where Canton edges out everyone at 7-5, Foxboro at 6-6, and then Milford at 5-7. All of that is play within the Hockomock League. So if Milford can find a way to gut through a comeback here, they would pull to within a 6-7 Hockomock League record. Even with Foxboro, that would put the two teams in a tie for second place. And so important with just a half a dozen games to go on the schedule for the Scarlet Hawks moving forward. They return to the floor now with White, Saylor, Schofield, Darling, and Danny Corsini. And they will once again pressure the basketball. Corsini nearly getting a hand on that pass. Now outside for Gallagher. He dribbles in, now leaves it for Malika. Malika in some trouble. Back out for Gallagher from 3, and he drains it. Gallagher money all night long. He has 8 points in this fourth quarter. He has all but 2 of the points that Foxboro has scored in this period. Here's White. More hard work under the basket. Can't get the shot, but he will head to the free throw line. It has been those 3-pointers from Kevin Gallagher that have bailed out Foxboro throughout this game. "24 points in the game for Kevin Gallagher. He has been a huge difference maker. It is a 2-possession game. It's 61-55. And Milford selling out with the pressure for Morrison. He's able to get the pass away. Now Saylor gets back defensively. Now White, and they'll call the travel. 3.5 minutes to go. Milford cannot afford to come away empty-handed on any trip up the floor at this point. Schofield trying to set a screen for White. They kick it back out. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Corsini in some trouble. The ball now up for grabs, and it's turned over. A key mistake as Corsini lost control of the basketball. Darling for a moment looked like he might be able to grab it, but it ends up in the hands of Gallagher, the no-look pass, and then the charge drawn by Jordan Darling. Gallagher smiles on his way back up the floor. It's his 4th foul. So an exchange of turnovers as we're now under 3 minutes to play. Darling loops it into White. White can't get the bank off the glass, gets his own rebound, gets two, and a chance for three. Well, Brendan White has certainly come alive in this second half after just 4 points through the first 2 quarters. He has 14 points in the second half. And that includes a perfect 5 for 5 from the free throw line in this fourth quarter. And it's a 3-point game now with 2:44 to go. And it looks like they'll call the 5 seconds against Foxboro. So Milford puts the pressure on for the inbounds pass. It pays off, and they will have a chance to inbound here. A 3-pointer will tie it. White sends it all the way back, and Saylor just barely able to hang on. 2:39 to play. Saylor will let it go, a chance to tie it. The shot no good. Here's White. He gets 2, and it's down to a 1-point game with 2.5 minutes left as timeout is called on the floor. Milford battling their way back all throughout this second half. Down 14 points coming into the third quarter, and they've cut it now to a 1-point game, and it'll be a race to the finish line now over these last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You do not want to go anywhere. Stay tuned to this coverage of Scarlet Hawks boys basketball here on Milford TV. Milford needs this game tonight to keep their playoff hopes well within reach. A dreadful start to the game, but all of that wiped away as they've cut it now to a 1-point differential. Malika releases a 3. He is no good. White pulls down the defensive rebound, and Milford with an opportunity to take their first lead of this game as we tick down to 2 minutes to go. Foxboro has led it the whole way. Here's White. He gets the shot, and it is a 62-61 lead for the Scarlet Hawks with under 2 minutes to play. And they keep the pressure on defensively. White goes in for the steal, and it will be Milford possession. Or will it? What's the call? It looks like they'll call the foul on Milford. The 4th foul on Brendan White as he came flying in to make the steal, made contact with Morrison. And so dangerous territory now for White with those 4 fouls. A minute 54 to go as again Milford gets their hands on it. This time the clean steal, and Corsini up for the layup, and it puts Milford up by 3. Milford showing all kinds of heart in this second half. And once again, Milford draws the offensive foul, and Brendan White ready to tear the roof off the Milford gym. The emotion just pouring out of this team, pouring out of the fan base. And Milford in good position now, up 64-61 with 1 minute and 37 seconds to go. And right now, Coach Sieber pulls everybody in. A timeout called on the floor. Again, just 97 seconds to go. It was not pretty at the start. A lot going wrong early in this game. This felt like Milford's game for the taking with Foxboro down one of their star players, but a very rough start. Brendan White in some early foul trouble. The Scarlet Hawks losing the battle on the glass throughout the first half. And Foxboro had a stranglehold on this game at halftime, but Milford absolutely turning the tides. And now looking to close out this final 90 seconds. It's still just a 1-possession game. The Hawks have been so focused throughout this second half. They need to keep that focus for another minute and change. 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Milford needing to get organized here. Time running out. They loop it into Brendan White. Offline on the shot. Schofield able to grab some iron on the rebound. And now here's White, eventually finishes it off. That was an ugly looking possession. But Brendan White able to finish it with points. He has 15 points in this fourth quarter. Here's Malika now, bounce pass to a wide open Michael Devlin. And Foxboro finally able to break up the run for the Scarlet Hawks, cutting it back down to a 3-point game. And timeout is called for now by Coach Gibbs, who pulls his players to the sideline now. Coach Gibbs showing some of the frustration we saw out of Coach Seaver in the first half. 43 seconds left, and we'll see what Foxboro chooses to do here. They will not foul, at least not right now. Milford will milk this clock, but they certainly cannot afford to not walk away from this possession with points. Looking for the dagger. 8 seconds left on the shot clock, 22 left in the game. As the ball is knocked loose, Foxboro takes over. And dangerous now, 15 seconds left. A three will tie it. Good shooters out on the floor. Got to be aware of Gallagher. And Milford now commits the foul. Milford has the fouls to give. That was still just their fourth foul of the second half. And so now a timeout as everyone tries to catch their breath and keep their composure here as we race down to the finish line. This has been one of the games of the season here in the Milford gym. Scarlet Hawks so desperately looking to get on a run here late in the season. We've talked about it throughout the second half. The lack of ability for Milford to string wins together. The last time Milford put back-to-back wins together was December 14th and 18th, games 3 and 4 on the season, wins against Sharon and King Philip. They suffered that 4-game losing streak to begin the month of January. It was the game against Foxboro on January the 4th that sent Milford to that losing streak, hoping that a game against Foxboro here in the Milford gym can put them on an extended winning streak. Coming off of a victory against Sharon in their last game, Foxboro coming off of 3 straight quality victories. Who will be the victor in this one? 9 seconds left to go as Foxboro tries to get the ball in. And they have to call another timeout as Morrison could not find a pass partner. And so back to the sidelines we go. Just 9.3 seconds left on the clock. Foxboro is going to have to look for a three here. And as we've mentioned frequently, they have the shooters to do it. Malika has knocked down his share of three-pointers, and it's Gallagher that Milford is especially going to have to keep an eye on the floor. They cannot afford to give him a free release. So many key shots for Gallagher, despite the fact that the second half has gone decidedly in Milford's favor. Gallagher has continued to light up the score sheet. He has 8 points in this fourth quarter, 10 points in the second half, and 24 points overall in the game. So you have to imagine that Foxboro is going to be looking for number 11 here to try to bail them out in these final 9 seconds. Milford returns to the floor with White with his 4 fouls, along with Saylor, Darling, Corsini, and Schofield. And Morrison once again will look to get the ball inbounds in front of his own bench. They get it in the hands of Malika. 8 seconds to go, and again Milford commits the foul. Still just the 5th team foul for the Scarlet Hawks. Again in the hands of Malika. Now it's Gallagher right from in front of his own bench. The shot no good, off the backboard and into the hands of Brendan White as time expires, and that is that. White holds on to the basketball. The rest of the team celebrates at midcourt. White, overcome with emotion, finally ready to celebrate with his teammates as Milford guts out the best victory of this 2018-19 season by far, trailing it by 14 at the half. They are able to come all the way back, and they defeat the Foxboro Warriors by a final score of 66-63. What a game here in the Milford gym here tonight. So with the victory, the Scarlet Hawks improve to 7-9 on the season. They are 6-7 within league play, and they pull themselves into a second-place tie with this Warriors team. And so the Hawks will look to keep it going now with 2 wins in a row under their belt. They'll try to make it 3 when they travel to North Attleboro on Friday to take on the Rocketeers. But that will wrap up our coverage here tonight. A big thank you to our Milford TV crew on hand for the game, our director Rob O'Keefe, and our camera operator Scott Crisafulli and Caitlin Mobilia. And I am Tim Coet. That final score, one final time, 66-63. The Scarlet Hawks are able to defeat the Foxboro Warriors. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody,